Greetings, greetings, greetings. So happy to be here with you today. My name is Leslie Montgomery, and you're tuned in LKM Kingdom Living. And we have the beautiful Minister Wanda Floyd with us today. And we're so excited about today and the topic of what we're going to be talking about. It should be interesting. Let's get started. First I want to say, hey, Minister Wanda, so happy you're here with us today. Minister Wanda has a full day today, so I appreciate. I didn't know whether she was coming on or not, but she's here and looking beautiful as always, and I just thank Yahweh for her. We want to say welcome. We want to say we're happy that you're here. We want to say hope that there's some, not that hope. No, we pray that something we say will touch your heart, make you want to forgive, make you want to repent, make you want to change your lifestyle, and make you, or even just make you understand that you're on the right track, going in the right direction. And so, as we get started today, uh, I guess I'm gonna pull out my mirror. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out my mirror, and when I look in the mirror, you know, uh, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I still have life. I'm grateful that I still have the activities of my limbs. I'm still in my right mind. When sometimes when we think about life and we sit on the end of our bed and we say, is life worth living? I promise you, life is worth living. And uh, get up out the bed, brush yourself off, and start to live life. Yes, things come, things bring us down, but we're not to stay down. We should be like the palm tree. The palm tree might blow over, you'll say go all the way down, but it bounces back up. And that's how Yahweh desired us to be. That even though we go through things, even though it might be in a space that we can't see our way out, we don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it always happens. So I want you to be encouraged, and I want you to know that life is worth living. I want you to know that don't waste time in the past. Yahweh's not in the past. Who's Yahweh? God? Others call God. He's not in your past. He's right here in the midst of you. And only thing he wants you to do is to get up and realize that you have something to live for. Yeah, you do. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you think that everybody can do better without you. I want you to know that life is worth living, and so is your life. Minister Wanda, what you got to say?
You know, I love everything you said. And sometimes I talked about it last week that we can live in the what ifs, you know, and because we can look at where we are, sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's a not so good situation. And we begin to question our lives and say, well, what if? Well, just like Prophetess Leslie said, everything that happened in our life was designed to make us and shape us and mold us if we would let it. It's designed to teach us lessons and to propel us, to help us, to aid us, to strengthen us for what is ahead in our future. And guess what? Each one of us are exactly where we were destined to be.
Yeah.
So there are no mistakes, there are no happenstances. We are exactly where we want to, where He, Yahweh, has destined for us to be. So we might as well embrace it, go along with it, and man, we might as well enjoy the journey, right?
Enjoy the journey. Before we even go any further, I want to say what we say every Sunday.
Yes.
And I want to say, a life without me is like a world without color. And I want to encourage those that feel like they have no color, that it doesn't matter. Um, It doesn't matter. Only thing that matters, well, I'm kind of saying it kind of wrong that it doesn't matter, but you do have color. Sometimes life and things causes you not to be able to see that you are part of the journey, a part of life. I must say, because when you have life and when you can see beyond yourself, when you're seeing right where you are, it might be bleak. It might be. It looks like there's no color. It looks like you're suffocating, and you're suffocating because you're pampering whatever you're going through, and you won't let it go. You won't allow Yahweh to move in that area so that you can no longer be stuck where you are. And our great apostle has joined us today. Welcome, apostle. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're happy that you're here today. Apostle has a great message that he wants to bring to us. I don't even know, is it a message, a topic? He's looking like, do I? This we have this topic. Apostle had spoke been speaks has spoke on it. It's been months, Apostle. It's been months that you have spoke on, talked about it, and I just want to take a minute and introduce him because he's a very busy man, and I I'm honored that he took time out of his busy schedule to be here this morning. And Apostle is the pastor of Darash Kingdom Ministry. He is also the apostle of many churches underneath him. And not only is he the apostle for many ministries, he has a ministry of himself. Um, what is it? The VW Jones Ministry, and that is all over the world pretty much. Even though we do things on the internet, on YouTube, and on those different aspects, he is out there and he's changing lives. If you want to catch him, you can catch him Monday, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 a.m. for um, what's it called? Preceding word, where he just provokes us to live different. He provokes us to think different, and it might be something that's going to a current event. It could be something in the word he saw, but even in the midst of that, he always calls a life, something to make you say, make you think about, make you want to do things different. And then we had Darash Kingdom on Wednesday night, which is our Bible study, where we still learning the word, still learning how to live the word. And that's usually at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And then on Fridays, sometimes we have, I must say, pop ups. We have ups at 11 p.m., which is the big our Sabbath. We do Sabbath. We honor Sabbath on Friday evening at sundown to Saturday evening at sundown. And that is the time that we are studying the word, studying the Torah. So there's many different ways you can catch on or join us and see us as he goes forth. And I forgot about today. We have tomorrow at the Sabbath service, which we'll have today as well. Thank you, Minister Wanda. Trying to do this off the top of my head. You said one more?
You kind of mentioned my favorite Bible book club.
Bible Book Club Thursday night. How did I skip over that? Bible Book Club. And we've been in Genesis for 3 years now. And 3 years, 3 years. I think that means something. But we have been trying, Apostle say, okay, I think this is going to be the last week. And it's been months he's been saying that. And we have learned so much just from, even as they were talking yesterday, and Elder Rogers was saying, talked about, well, Apostle was asking about the chronological leap, but one of the things that was said about being in Genesis is that we learn everything before we even get to everything, because it's all in that one chapter. And we have been in that chapter. We have been diligently. diligently working. And I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to greet those that came in. I want to greet Angel Wright. Hey, Angel. Angel Wright is the provisionary over Speak Up Sis, where I won the. I was a participant of the winning award. So I thank you so much for being here. Michelle Bright Grice and Pastor Daphne and Frida Walker. I saw Michelle Flag on here. Tiffany said, "Hey, Apostle." So she's saying a hey. And for all those that I might not even know that you're on, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot. Pastor Jackie, how can I forget you? And as we move on, and we're going to move on and turn it over to Apostle. I've talked enough. And Apostle BW. Apostle B.W. Jones, we were in study the 102. I call it the 102 to the 101, Know Your Calling class, and where you experience how to operate in your gift. And he said, he taught talking about a tool in your hand versus, no, a tool in your mind versus a tool in your hand. And I have invited him on to talk about that this morning. And as I said, he is out of town. He's on another location, but he took time. Thank you so much to be here. Apostle, welcome.
And shalom. I'm so glad to be with you all, especially after we've just come through such a great, high, and holy time with the Feast of Sukkah, which I still want to keep proclaiming it.
I proclaim Sukkah.
I promise you I want to, but we got to move on. If you were
We
there,
can't proclaim it. We can't proclaim it.
it's coming around in a year. We can proclaim it.
And I go ahead of time. I proclaim Sukkah.
It's coming in a year. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's always an honor to be with you here on this great broadcast. It's fun to watch how things mature and develop, and this is a beautiful thing to view, experience, and I'm praying Yahweh does even greater things with this platform you guys have. To the Childs team, Childs, what's good?
They are in the house.
Man, so glad to see you guys. Everyone that's on here, I see so many on the threads. Y'all know I can't be looking and talking to y'all at the same time and process it all. But to everyone who has joined in, all of the DKM citizenship, and to your provider for your award, we speak shalom to your life as well. Pray that you can continue to identify people who have a heart to serve other people, and let that be known to the world that there are people out here who do, in fact, care. One life, one mission at a time. It's a beautiful thing to hear and know. I'm with the black and white, y'all. What's the deal? I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, you know, I just needed a white accent. I wish
your zipper's good enough.
The silver. Okay, all right, cool. You're good. Just got to be in coordination with you fly lady. Listen, we were talking, and you're going to have to really sort of kind of bring something back into view for me, because the last time we were here with you, it's always a joy. But the last time we were here with you, you and I were in study, I believe it was, Prophets. And we were discussing not promoting, not trying to sell KYC, but knowing your calling. There's a difference when you, in fact, know who you are, as opposed to facade or promote what you want to be. And it's one of the narratives that we've sort of kind of picked up spirit since Yom Kippur, this 5785, 24. 5785 is the Hebrew calendar, or the Torah calendar year that you're in right now, since October the 2nd of this year, 2024. And 5785 is going to be the 12 months that we will be working and doing the feasts, which correlate with the year 2024, its end, final quarter, and then 2025, the first 3 quarters of that. So the big thing, and as I remember, I think we labeled this a tool in the mind versus a tool in the hand. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. What I want to make sure we're clear about is that whenever, all right, for instance, we should be in a mindset, and I'm going to put this on your platform, and then we're going to dive into what you have and we have as a title for this talk. Church and being a Christian, we believe in the Great Commission to the point that we sell the concept to the citizenship. And it's okay to be committed to sharing the good news of the kingdom. That's the gospel. Oh, the good news. Oh, how beautiful are the feet of them who publish the gospel, the good news in the mountains, as we would say that, and I paraphrase. However, a lot of people are in the area and the mindset based on how we've been trained to go tell it on the mountains, over the hills, and everywhere go. Tell it on the mountains that Jesus Christ is born. Now, if you pay me, get me some airfare, and I'll take some room and board. I'll come and teach this to everybody that you know. And so we've begun to become salesmen rather than citizens of this good news. The good news is where we're supposed to live. And so I promise you, if you just give me 4 minutes, I can smooth this over, and Pastor Leslie, Prophetess Leslie, and Minister Wanda, you guys can have your program back. But we got to the point now where we are selling the good news, not like intentionally. I believe we fell into a work I believe we fell into the work of something that is what's called against the faith of Elohim. And what we mean by that is the principalities and powers and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places have given such a narrative within the religious arena to cause us, you know, when you go to court, always when you go to court, you find that you have to prove your case without reasonable doubt. And in Christendom, the enemy of our faith has given us reasonable doubt, right? And so that reasonable doubt indicates that you hear one thing, and as long as it sounds okay, though it may be off and not the narrative that's provided or suggested, we will continue it. And as long as we continue it, nobody says anything, it doesn't matter that we are not on the path, but running parallel to the path. I hope I'm making sense, because you can be going in the same direction, but still miss the mark. And therefore we have this conundrum, whereas the Bible says, you know, I press now toward the mark of the prize of the higher calling, which is in Yeshua HaMashiach, right? So if we are pressing towards the mark, and because at a distance we see ourselves heading in the direction, but if you are 5 steps over, you're parallel to the point you're not on the path, but you're looking at the path. It looks like the path. You think you're on the path because you're heading down that direction, but you know, 99 and a half
won't do.
So what has happened for many of us to end up in that 99 and a half, to end up in that salesman mode and mindset of this good news, is that we've begun, and I do not say we did it on purpose, but we have become salesmen of the gospel rather than those who are actual residents of the gospel. Let me say it in a way that's been pressed in my soul since Sukkah and beyond. It is that the kingdom of Elohim and Messiah himself, watch this closely before we go to Ephesians chapter 4. Messiah himself never came to sell the gospel. He lived it. Let me say it again. He picked 12 individuals to hang out with him, but he did not pick a sales team. And so what we've done is we've put ourselves in a position a lot of times because of our need to, I want to be like Jesus, which you should. But we miss the reality because of the principalities and powers and narratives that were able to be slipped into our churches, whereas we are not living what we're selling.
Well,
We had begun living this, we'd never looked to sell it. So here is a narrative, and you can type this in, one of you can type this into, and I really want this to begin to resonate throughout the year, that the kingdom of Elohim is about creating sages, not salesmen. Now that brings us full circle. I'm going to say it again. I don't see it typed in there. I don't see it on the thread. Why is it not on the thread? I don't understand. The kingdom of Elohim is about creating sages, not salesmen. Let me say it again in case we didn't catch it for the third time for the Ruach HaKodesh. The kingdom of Elohim, the kingdom of Shamayim, the kingdom of heaven is about creating sages of this gospel, not salesmen of this gospel. And that has been a narrative that if we continue down that path, that parallel path, we are going to find a rude awakening when we finally stand before the Father. And he's going to say to us, watch this, when we've all reached that day, I hope y'all don't mind, I got to get into this deep because I got to go to another program. But when you take the opportunity to remember what's going to happen, why you're living in earth, you are not in earth to sell this gospel. You're in earth to be this gospel. You're not in this earth to sell it. You're not in this earth to get likes. You're not in this earth to put people up on the gospel and knock on doors, contrary to the narrative behind the Great Commission. You were not in this area to go knock on doors and tell the world, hey, you need Jesus. Listen, Ruach, you got to hold me down. You got to understand that when Messiah sent them out 2 by 2, he sent them into Udea. He did not send them out into all the world, contrary to the narrative that we have with respects to the Pentecost experience, right? Now, he does tell them in Acts chapter 1, after Ruach HaKodesh has come up on you, you will be witnesses to me, watch this, in all the world, Jews, Greeks, and all these other people. So in Acts chapters 1 and 2, you will find that he tells them after Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you in the feast of Shavuot, after I've ascended, you will become witnesses to me in the uttermost parts of the world, in Samaria and Udea and all the heathen countries, right? But that's not the Great Commission. The Great Commission is based off the narrative in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and then in another paradigm of John that says Messiah sent out his disciples 2 by 2, and they went into all the cities of Judea, and we believe that they were selling the gospel. They were not. Notice he did not send them into Samaria. He did not send them over into Egypt. He did not send them down into Corinth. He didn't send them to Thessalonica. He did not send them to Philippi. He sent them to Judea, to a people, watch this, hold your hat, hold your wig, hold them spots on them black and white y'all got. Listen, he sent them to the people who were expecting the Messiah.
yes, sir.
to tell them he's here. That's not a sale, that's an announcement. And that's why he said to them, listen, if they receive you, oh, get that shalom on with them. But if they don't receive you, when they answer the door that you're knocking and heralding that the Mashiach is here, continuing the work of John the Baptist, who was recently beheaded, he is letting you know that he says, go into Udea now and tell them, oh, the Mashiach is here. Come see. He does not sell them on the gospel. They do not go with their bag like Hoover vacuum cleaner salesman. They do not go as if they were sitting selling insurance. They go to say, hey, the master's here. Are you ready to enter in? And instead, what many of them said was, we hear and believe what Caiaphas said. We believe what the Pharisees said. You mean that little boy Jesus? You mean that little baby, Mary, little baby?
Ain't that John's son, the carpenter?
You mean that Mary had a little lammy whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere little Mary went, that lamb was show. You mean that little that boy there? Well, Caiaphas, my pastor and the chief priest, chief apostle, prelate, overseer, magnificent of the temple over in Jerusalem, him had said, and his Pharisees and some of the Sanhedrin have said that don't believe that man. And Messiah told his disciples, go tell them that Messiah is here. And if they receive you, awesome. If they don't, shake the dust off your feet. It will be worse for them than it was for Saddam and Gomorrah. Why? Because they never went to sell Messiah was here. They went to announce it. And I think we got ourselves in a position that we are becoming salesmen of a gospel we think we know, rather than becoming sages of the gospel we live. And so I hope that this is of help to somebody. I don't know if
what's a sage, Apostle?
A sage is technically the term for an apostle. And people will tell you in the Christian faith, and no disrespect to Christendom, I'm not coming for Christendom, I'm just telling you we were raised in something. You know, please use the narrative and please use the indictment that in all of our getting, we get understanding. And so because we have Greek words that support and do what it is we are into, and we don't know what they mean. So an apostle was technically a Talmudim who lived what his teacher, his rabbi, taught, and they lived it. It's you see it better in Oriental senseis and masters of a particular genre, where their student is one who obeys and listens to what their sage is saying. Now, I'm not telling y'all to walk around here like we're doing right now, and I am not talking about armor bearers. Y'all done got a whole industry of slaves walking around here.
Well, I was a good armor bearer.
And again, an armor bearer is technically what it does. It's called a talmidum. Talmidum. Tiffany Childs, great question. Talmidum. A talmidum is the word for disciple. So when the disciples of a rabbi live with that rabbi, walk with that rabbi for 3 to 4 years, they are beginning to understand what the culture is about. Now, they don't sell that. They live that. And then when individuals passing by would see this Talmudim with his rabbi, they may ask, what is your rabbi teaching? What is your all's following? And by that, information can be communicated. And they're looking at these people in regions, in marketplaces, in other areas, and they're like, well, they seem to be dressed. Their hair is not cut. I don't see them drinking wine. Yeah. Well, they do something different. What's the that garment they got on? Okay, and they got the mitre. What's the mitre about? And people will inquire how you live. And see, that's how the gospel is supposed to be appropriately spread. Now, when you spread the gospel by the way you live, and that becomes the greatest conversion mechanism for the kingdom. You always say that, um, oh, what do we do in sales? Um, Word of mouth is the best advertisement, because word of mouth indicts, as we talk about what a sage is. Word of mouth indicts. I ain't telling you what I heard.
Tell me what I know.
I'm telling you what I know. Oh, I wish I would.
Yes.
You know what? Y'all,
Yeah.
one of y'all remind me to make that and preach that in
Come
about 8.
on.
You know what I mean? I ain't telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. Why don't y'all put that up there if y'all know what I'm talking about? Say, I ain't telling you what I heard. If you see, the mothers said it this way back in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s. They said, look, you can't make me doubt him. I don't care what you say about him. You can't make me doubt him. What I know, I ain't heard. I know too much about him. You remember the song, Come On in My Room. Y'all remember the mothers would sing that? Come on in my room. And then they would tell you, Jesus is my doctor, and he writes out all of my prescriptions. He gives me all of my medicine. It's medicine, not medicine. It's medicine in my room. Come on in my prayer
Come
closet.
on.
Come on in my room. Why? Because they're telling you, I'm not selling this to you. You knew I was broke down. You knew I had gout. You knew I had rheumatoid arthritis. You knew I was sitting with a diagnosis that I couldn't get out of. But I'm not telling you. I'm standing here because my physicians gave me anything that R.D. Rockefeller and them boys have created and made in some preservative silicone medication. I'm telling you right now, prayer works, and that is the lifestyle. That is the saging. So to be a sage, to be an apostle, means you understand what you're living inside and out. You don't have a commercial marketed item in your home. Now, let me use this parallel from the industry of sales, the industry of service provision, and the industry of a DIY, do it yourself individual. So if you are, let's just say, someone who is thank you, Ruach. This is a fresh analogy. This is fresh from heaven just for LLL Broadcasting Ministries. Listen, and I need y'all to understand this, because did I say that right? Is it LLL Leslie?
LLL.
Triple L's, 3 L's. Listen. Here is the analogy. It's the difference of generations. When I grew up,
Yeah.
you did the Boy Scouts, you did 4-H, you did Girl Scouts. Today, you do Google, you do Bing, you do DuckDuck. Now, what happens if you are trying to survive a hurricane before it comes, or a ice storm before it comes, or a war that happens to hit your region, and now you have to survive off the ground, and you've been surviving in life until the tragedy hits off of Googling this and Binging that, and Siri and Alexa, this, that, or the other. Now, what happens when an agent or an act of God does away with your ability to pull up Google? You don't know how to even start a fire, because you would think, well, okay, I don't know how to start a fire, but in case of emergency, I'll just ask Siri. Siri, how you start a fire from scratch? And if you can't get through to Siri, if you can't get through to Alexis, if you can't get through to Prophet Google, if you can't get through to Man of God Bing or
What you gonna do?
what you gonna do? You do not because you don't have, watch this, because you never been a Boy Scout. You never been a camper. See, that's a sage. A camper is someone who understands how to survive in the wild. Though we have been born into the conveniences that are foundationalized by the wild, we have conveniences that says nobody should have to learn how to make a fire. Hey, we'll give you electricity. Hey, we're going to give you butane lighters. Hey, we're going to give you ovens that have pilots in it, and we're going to provide propane, and we're going to provide gas. We're going to provide oil for you. So all you need to do is go home and start your oven. I'd rather, in truth, be honest with you, learn and teach children how to make a fire properly, how to be responsible about getting recycling of water, and how to use plants to actually hydrate myself in the event I don't have the conveniences we've grown up with, which can be taken away from you in the blink of an eye. Just ask any war-ravaged region. Just ask any area where you can't get electricity. Just ask Puerto Rico from the last couple of years ago. Just go down there and ask them in Miami. Just go talk to those who just come through the floods of Helene. Ask them who came through Catherine. Ask them who've been through stuff where you can't get services and FEMA can't help you behind. So if you don't know how to survive off the land, you are done. And right now, that's what Christendom looks like. We got so many people who don't know God for themselves because they've been hearing it from the God who's been a salesman coming through the land, that when something stops, they won't know how to get it from another source. That becomes a problem. So what is a sage? A sage is someone who understands those things because they know it, and they can appreciate the commercializing of the end result, but they know how to get the nectar without going to Walmart, without going to Sam's Club, without going to whatever big box you got to get this Sara Lee cake. You know how to make your own. Glory Greens, you know how to make your own. I'm going to talk all about y'all subjects of stuff that y'all been getting into, trying to don't doctor up no Glory Greens and tell me them some greens. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. We don't know how to, y'all didn't find that funny. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. So the difference, the issue of a sage and a participant in the organization is, if the organization doesn't tell you how to, doesn't show you how to live it without them, and doesn't guide you through true survival techniques of these principles, so that if they're not alive, you still good. If you have to rely on the temple to tell you about God, if you have to rely on the pastor to tell you how God will do and get you through, if you don't know for yourself, if you can't pull up if you notice that song, Come On In My Room, that wasn't sung with a 20-year-old woman or a 25-year-old man. That song was sung by a 60 and 70-year-old who was like, look, hey, look, I got me some turpentine if I had to, and I got a little bit of gasoline, put that in the spoon, put some castor oil together. I ain't have no Johnsons and Johnsons, baby. You got you some greens, and you went out in the backyard and you put that stuff in the crucible and you ground that up real good, and you got you some thyme and you push that in there. You got you just a little bit of some basil and squeeze the lemon on top of that, and you push that there. You know how to make the medication that pulls the phlegm up out your body. Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? And right now, what we've created is a bunch of commercialized product purchasing individuals who, if the companies producing the products went out of business, they would not know how to survive. This ain't what you want on your program. You should have never invited me to talk about. You know I shouldn't be here talking about this.
You remind me of my grandfather, because my grandfather always had his homemade remedies, and we called him doctor. And man, some of that stuff would smell so bad, but by the time you took it, you was well. And I remember one time, just real quick, My aunt and uncle was there. My uncle wasn't feeling good. And my grandfather gave him this medicine. They took the bus home. My aunt was so mad. She said, all you could smell is that nasty medicine all over the bus. But he was cured.
But was he healthy?
Yes, he
And
was.
so we're so worried about being cute because we've seen a commercialized product that does away with the rudimentary elements that are the most healthy, because the perfume that may have hid the scent of that raw product may be an additive that's not necessary and ultimately cause a secondary problem, even though you got rid of the scent. I'd rather walk through there smelling like Ben, well, not Ben, get no Diddy, Ben, you know what I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, listen, what I'm trying to tell y'all is I'd rather walk through there smelling like McCoy, okay? I'd rather walk through there smelling like witch hazel, okay? No sinful stuff. Look, I ain't got to smell good. I need to be healthy. I need to be good. I ain't got to smell good. I need to be good. And so what happens is a lot of times what we have put ourselves in a position of is falling in love with, as a generation, with the conveniences of technology, and forget that the technology conveniences are conveniences of technology. They are not. They are convenience. They are convenienced to sell because someone said everybody can use this, and if we can corner the market on how to make it, they'll come to us rather than learn it themselves. Y'all not gonna talk to me, okay? So
Everything made easy.
exactly. So,
Everything made easy.
and it's not just made easy. How many people today know how to pickle? Who ask this generation what a mason jar is? Now, I'm not coming for them because I'm from that school, but ask them how do you thread a needle? Ask them how do you, okay, this is deep right here. How do you wash a dish? They gonna say my mom got that big old block thing underneath the sink. You put it inside of that rack, and then you shut the door and you drop in this little pod about the size of my earbud, and then you push that button right there and the water sprinkle, and then you get it out and you dry it off. How do you help me? How do you brush your teeth without a Crest or Colgate? They don't know nothing about baking soda. They don't know nothing about peroxide. Yeah, I don't think
I
your
promise
audience.
you, my girls do.
Okay, but I don't think your audience enjoys this. But here's why
They're enjoying it.
here is why I want you people. We need to understand. Watch this: a tool in the mind versus a tool in the hand. If you don't know why this convenienced tool exists, if you don't know how to, barring being convenient, make this tool yourself, then you're in trouble if that tool is no longer provided on the shelf. Because that tool you've become dependent on and its convenience, you don't know how to make yourself. All right, Sarah Lee got y'all all biting off of her pies. Patti LaBelle, the program that we found out from her was that's not even her pie. She just put her name on the thing. But y'all done got Patty got y'all buying these pies, and you can't even make sweet potato pie. Matter of fact, some can't even peel a sweet potato, let alone make a pie with it. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Help me, Father. And because we're not teaching, listen, because we're not teaching how to, as opposed to where to get it from. I'm going to say it again, because we're not teaching how to get it so that it stabilizes, fulfills, and aids your life. We are teaching where to get it from, already packaged. And then you got salesmen coming to you with, okay, ours, it comes in blue, it comes in red, it's fashionable, it's got a good smell to it, and we're better than the other product who makes it. Now, those companies selling it to you, they have engineers that know how to make it, and you are trusting in the engineer to get it to you, but they're taking shortcuts. They're adding additives that will give you problems that they may solve one problem, but in their effort to solve a problem, they're adding additives that could create another problem that is separate from the problem this product is solving. So now you are they're churning you as a need oriented individual, and that need is fixed by you. And you can say, oh, you know what, we found out 12 years later that one of the products we were using to fix the sore throat actually caused some problems with eyesight. So we've now, in our research, has found out that we can solve that problem. So here is a commodity that fixes the eye problem we created. They're not going to tell you that, with giving you a sore throat remedy. And now you've been churned. Now you're dependent on that cycle. And instead, all you need to do is go out in the backyard, put in the ground some basil, some collards, some mustards, and get you some beets and some kumquats and some ginger, and get it in your backyard where you can control it without all the DTSs and all different chemicals. I'm being this way on purpose because I think it's the only way to draw a tool in your mind versus a tool in your hand. So when Yahweh put you and I on the earth, listen, the Bible declares in Ephesians chapter 4 that Adonai came into the earth in form of a man, thought it not robbery, though he equaled himself to Elohim, because he was Elohim. In the beginning was the Word was with, because the Word was Elohim, and the Word became flesh. So when he came into the world, Adonai, who is Elohim, God the Son, thought it not robbery to take on and put on sin-filled flesh to show us who are sinful and fleshy, that the Word can keep you and make you return to the Father. So what happens is he says that Adonai, who ascended but first descended into the earth, he, Adonai, gave gifts unto man. Every one of you have a gift that you were made for. Some of you, watch this, are in gifts you were sold into. So we have gifts that we are made for, and then we have offices in our churches that we were told we should do, and we were knighted, we were degreed, I got to be careful on this one because y'all gonna come for me. We were anointed by man into. That's the salesmanship. Because if you know your calling, you know who you are in your head. The issue that the world is dealing with today, with all these gurus and sages of self-help and self-worth and self-affirmations, we wouldn't need all that mess. Because if you knew what your calling was, and you knew in your mind, again, that old song by the Mothers, you can't make me doubt him. I know too much about him. I know my value. I know I am enough because he gave a gift unto all men, and I walk in my gift. I don't talk about my gift. I walk in my gift, and I don't have to talk about my gift to you if you see me operating in my gift. There is a big difference. So there's a big difference in having a tool of who you are in your mind, and then a tool in your hand about a office or a commodity that you could possess and temporarily operate in. Because when you stand before the Father at the end time, like I started this thing with, he's going to ask you, what did you do with my word? Oh, watch this. Man, we used your word to heal Jim Bob and Clarice. We used your word and we started campaigns all over the world. We used your word and people got saved and healed. Yeah. And Yahweh's gonna say, yeah, my word does that without you. The question is, what did you do with my word? I didn't tell you to sell my word. I told you to live it. So what did you do with my word that qualifies you to enter into rest? See, you selling my word meant you didn't use my word. You used my word for what you felt you could get value of my word. And that, beloved, is where we have a bigger problem. And we don't know how to confess that. Your job, my job, is not to sell the gospel. It's not to develop a consortium of individuals and a confederate of people who sell my book. No, get your money, make your bag. I ain't coming for your money. I ain't coming for your bag. But that's not our job. Our job is not to sell this gospel. Our job is to live this gospel. Now, if asked a question about how do you do it better than I do it? How is it that your rocking chair is better than my rocking chair? Well, I can, come on, bring me your rocking chair. Bring it over here. Let me show you what I did. See, you using screws. I use dowels. And the wood dowels, they're like screws, but they sit better inside the organic wood because the nail is metal. And if you use the nail and the wood is meaty and the nail is hard, it might strip. And so that's why mine don't keep breaking at the foot, because I got a dowel in there. And then I put a little bit of glue. Yeah, right. I get some sap from the tree and a little bit of honey from the beehive down the street. I talk to the beehive people because I don't like getting stung. So the beehive people, they get the honey from me, and then I mix that with the sap, and then I use that as a balm, and I put that between the dowel and the wood opening, and it casts up, and that gives me that gives me what I need to keep this thing together. So when I rock, it flexes with my weight. But the screw, if I rock in it with my weight, and sometimes I'm between 10 and 15 pounds, skinny or lighter in any given day, so my weight could fluctuate. And therefore, when I rock too hard one day because stress fluctuates and I feel the need to have to feel a rhythm in my cadence, and my jam might come on while I'm in the rocking chair, and the little, pressure and dispensation of how the weight gets pushed out might in fact take me to a place of where I can't do what I do and be what I be. So at the end of the day, everything that goes on and everything that is in this process puts me in a position where I can't do what I need to do. So just because you think you understand what's going on, I can help you fix what you got. I can help you fix what you need. Now, at the end of the day, you're in a position where your screw is messing up your foot. And see, Minister Wanda, Prophetess Leslie, I don't think the world understands that our job is not to sell what we know. Our job is to share what we know to someone who thought they knew and are using a lesser rendition of the same commodity we all have to have. I don't want to be funny, but somebody wrote a song about milkshakes. Bring all the boys to the yard. Whose milkshake is better than whose what? How are y'all doing this? And you don't like that analogy. Some of you like, oh my God, he had me until how he know about that song? Because that song, in the element that it was utilized, is using a perverted version of that very same principle. And we don't want to talk about it because it's presented in a perverted way. But the perfection of the idea is that you have to know this for yourself. And if you do know it for yourself, anybody will come trying to have that necessity, not getting the success with their version of that necessity, and ask you, why isn't yours falling apart? Now, your walk in salvation should bring more people to the yard. They like, their house always looks clean, and they go through the same storms we went through. They got the same bad little children in the neighborhood, but why is their house always safe? They don't have holes in the place. They don't have all the people in the yard. Their grass that looks better. How y'all doing it? Hey, Jim, man, I was fixing my shutters the other day and I looked over and yours never seemed to fall. And I know I fixed mine 3 times and you ain't touched yours once. I saw you painting them, but you ain't fix them. Man, what are you doing with your shutters that I'm not doing with mine? Jim does not have shutters on sale in front of his yard like a lemonade stand talking about buy my shutters.
He became a magnet.
Now you want to talk about again, yeah, that's good, prophetess. This law of attraction. You want to talk. So a tool in mind is much better than a tool in hand, because people got tools in hand and don't know how the tool got made, and they can't duplicate it themselves. Messiah came not to sell you what he does. He came to show you what he does. Listen to what he says. I didn't come to destroy the Torah, the book of instructions. I didn't come to destroy the prophets who kept reminding you about the book of instructions. Unlike Caiaphas, much like John, unlike the Pharisees and the Sadducees you deal with today in your religious settings at the synagogue and the temple, I came to show you how to live it. I didn't come to put it on my phylactery. I didn't come to put it on my mitre. I didn't come to put it on my garment. I didn't come to put it on my vesture and then say, look at me. This is how God looks, and this is what we are supposed to be like. And look down at this poor publican and say, Father God, I pray I'm not like this man. He says, no. He says, I didn't come to sell it to you and put it on a billboard like I'm so excellent at it. I don't want to be that hypocrite. I'm not that hypocrite. I'm going to show you how to keep your hip from creaking. I came to show you how to keep your knee from dipping. I came to show you how to keep your eye from going dim. See, I want to do what Moshe did. I'm greater than Moshe. Moshe died, but he didn't, pardon me, Moshe lived and he did not die. And in his last days, all we know about Moshe at 120 years old is that Buddy was mountain climbing. He was rock climbing without his staff. At 120 years old, he did not have bifocals. His sight did not go dim, and his natural strength was not abated. Now, I'm going to come because Moshe is the beginning of the Torah, and none of y'all have listened to how he was able to look that successful at 120 years old. And the prophets kept trying to remind y'all how to get back to what Moshe was given to give to you all, because this is the tool you need to have in your mind, not in your hand on tablets that you can put it down and pick it up when you want to. This you should do like Moshe did. This you should operate like David did. You should have it in your heart where you can actually check your actions and say, oh, I don't want to go that way, because the word says many are the thoughts. But y'all don't want to finish it. Many are the thoughts of a man's mind. But in the end of those ways, if it's not filtered through the writ, it's going to be death. And you can't be sold how to do something. You can't be sold how to do something that you yourself are not aware of. Oh, I went to church. That's why I don't even let people come into Sabbath teachings or Moedim teachings, because they just come in to buy a commodity they heard about and say, ooh, I can use that in church. I'm gonna use that and I'm gonna sell, and people are gonna put me on their what was that stuff I do? Their Toastmasters tour, because the stuff I'm talking about gonna sound deep, and I can articulate, and I got a little bit of rhythm and flow and a little bit of charisma, and so I got a little bit of product I bought over there at that place, and I'm gonna put that out on the streets, and that's gonna get me the bag, but I don't know it, but I know how to talk about it. See, I'm not making fun or light. I do intend to add light to the matter. I'm not making fun or light about the matter. I do have every intention, like Messiah, to add light to that matter. I don't know if this is what you wanted to have on your program, and I hope that your viewership doesn't drop, because you invited this crazy man who is trying to develop and help people become sages and live something rather than buy something they can put in a drawer and use it whenever they feel that they have a symptom, as opposed to use it and let it maintenance their life and be a DIY in all things. Because when you know the writ, when you know the truth makes you free. When Messiah was brought into the earth as a human, the whole purpose of that human being, called the Lamb of God, was to have the Son of God live in that vessel. to show all the others created as humans in the earth how the word of Elohim will bless you in any circumstance you're in. And it wasn't for you to sell it off. It was for you to live it, because the more you live the word and successfully demonstrate how to extract what the word can bring to your necessities, to your bare minimal functioning of life, the more you use the word, the more it will start beginning to shed different seed. It will emit different aromas that will attract appetites of people to say, I want what you got. Okay, cool. I can share it with you. I got enough of it. Come on, let me show you how to make it. Come on. You want to make it? It reminds me of our first Pesach. Now, I put the recipe for unleavened bread on the platform. Okay, y'all not gonna talk to me. All right. So for those who don't know what Pesach is the meal that y'all call the Last Supper, but it is Pesach, the meal that is the 14th of Nisan every year, usually in April, March. And so we have the lamb. Everybody can cook a lamb. Okay, cool. We gonna talk about that. Everybody know how to put some greens together, get some horseradish and chop it up, get some carrots or whatever the bitter herbs would be, some parsley, whatever, right? Kale, whatever, and romaine and whatever. Put that together with your lamb you seasoned and braised and got fired up in the rotisserie. But Jokers was choking on the bread. So we put up the unleavened bread. We gave y'all the recipe. This is deep. This is a real good analogy. We gave the recipe and put it on the board for people to practice with it. But everybody busy in their schedules and working all that they work. Thank y'all. Working all that they work. And they're like, oh, I know how to make bread. I'm from Texas. I'm from Georgia. I'm from Jersey. I'm from San Diego. I know how to make bread. Okay. All right. It's in Jiffy Mix. We ain't talking about Jiffy Mix. We. And so I know how to make bread. And then they would go and we had the meal. And I'm listening to people clanking their bread and their plate. They cutting the lamb. And I hear the fork clanking, picking up the lettuce and eating the thing. But then I'm hearing this bread, why apostle bread look different? Why his bread look flaky and why can he put butter and jelly on his, but mine is hard? I can't cut it open. But because they didn't practice with the recipe, they didn't know how to make it. Now they had the ingredients, but because they didn't practice with it long enough to learn the nuancing of how much water, when to add water, how long the heat should go. We did the stereotypic thing of the marketplace and our common ways of making bread with or without all-purpose flour. And y'all, that's what we look like today. We have the ingredients, but we have not used it to where we can make the bread rightly. So what I had to do as a sage to those who were technically buying what was being sold, they thought it was for sale. It wasn't for sale. You can have it for free. And so we went back on and we says, here is how you now check the ingredients we gave you last year so that you have what you didn't have last year, this clunky piece of thing that you had to choke down with a whole gallon of wine, as opposed to this fluffy bread that you can roll and put a piece of lamb on and make yourself a wrap with and chew and ease and drink comfortably, because they got the idea, but they didn't put the work in. They had the instructions, but they didn't try it out first. They didn't learn about it. So in a basic and simple scenario of the potential of singing in that analogy, don't just get the words and say, now I got it. put it in your pocket. And when the event comes, say, oh, I got the instructions, I'm gonna do it. If you ain't practiced it, if you ain't been living it before the event, you're gonna be embarrassed. It'll be a rude awakening when your bread hits that plate at the place. They be like, why they got a drill over there cutting their bread? Why they got a sawzall? Who brought the sawzall to this? Who brought the sawzall to the meal? Why am I hearing drumels fired up? I'm done. A tool in mind can make any tool in your hand. Don't you fall in love with a tool in your hand and don't know how to make it in your mind. I got more to say about that, but I'm gonna let that die right there. Prayerfully, I'll call somebody to study something. I got to get ready for teaching tonight. This morning.
Yes, thank you. Mhm. And for some of those that don't know about the bread, he's talking about the unleavened bread. There's someone here that's been hearing about the unleavened bread.
And some of y'all had the unleavened bread that was unedible bread, so we need to call that the unedible bread.
Ooh, trial and error, trial and error. We learn
Say it again.
Trial and error.
Say it one more time.
Trial and error.
Work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling before the Lord. It's the same exact thing. We just don't know how to associate it. You can't figure it out unless you live it.
Yes.
Make it once because you saw it on a TikTok. Some of y'all trying recipes because y'all saw on TikTok. Say, oh, I'm going to try that. Did you see the peanut butter mixed with the caramel on the sticky bun? And then they put a piece of rye and I'm going to try that. I bet that looked good. And then you go get all them ingredients and you wasted all that money because your version of that didn't turn out right. And you can only make that based on how much those items cost once.
Right. Right.
And now you don't have the trial and error, but you are fully vested. And because there was no trial and error, you have wasted that opportunity to be great. So it's a matter of learning, understanding, living this life. And many people are preaching this life. And what I don't like is a preacher or a teacher or a propagator who heard it in theory, took it from a book, can articulate it in a talk, but have never walked it. But they can tell everybody else, you need to do this, and God said do this, and God, but you ain't been Peter. You ain't followed Messiah for 3.5 years and then cussed everybody out on the day of proving. You ain't been Udis, who been walking with Messiah for 3 years, and then because you ain't like something Messiah said or did, now you done sold him out. Y'all, this gets deep for me. So miss me with all the hyperbole. You ain't been Peter. You ain't been Messiah, who came with the purpose of dying for humanity. And then at the moment of truth, tell God, I don't really want to do it right now.
Yeah.
Messiah didn't come to sell. I came to die for y'all. Messiah came to live. I came to die for y'all. And in living to die for y'all, I found out some of y'all really ain't worth me dying for. You need to be glad I'm not the one in charge. So, Father, I don't want to die for them right there. Them ones over there. See them two over there? They call my mama a hoe. That one over there, they call my dad a chump. And this one right here, he keep talking to me like I ain't got these hands. He keep talking to me, and what we not gonna do, Father, and I don't feel like dying for them jokers right there. I'll do mama. I'll do mama, and I'll do the other ones. But them right there, and since I came to die for all of them, and I can't die for them, can I get a bye? Can I get a pass, Father? Can I just, if it be your will?
Pass this cup.
See, Messiah lived it to the point. He didn't just sell after the cross a crucifix. He lived through the crucifix. And that's where you got to understand. You make that a quote. You're somebody to make that a quote. Messiah didn't come to sell a crucifix. He came to live through the crucifix. Because on the other side of the cross, there is the life of the kingdom. And if you get stuck at the cross, down at the cross, if you stuck there, baby, you ain't living the life that the kingdom is about. You are living a religious life that says we have a limitation. You can't go no further than the cross, and you got to trust us to go beyond that. No, Messiah, he came to live the cross. He came to live the death. He came to live the burial. He came to live the shame. He came to live it so you and I would know how to do it. He became and is our sage. How did he become our sage? Yes, he had the word in him. Yes, he had a slight little different thing, but he came to say, you do what I do. You filter these actions through the word. You'll be just as available to be rewarded by the Father as I am. Just follow my example. You're going to have shame. They're going to talk about you like a dog. You're going to make a mistake. You are. They going you damned if you do and you damned if you don't in religious arenas.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's real. But I know you have to go.
That's a good way to say, Apostle, shut up. I heard that in the Sprite, in the innermost Sprite.
Trying to help you out. Trying to help you out.
In my Sprite.
Let you stay on focus.
In my innermost Sprite, Ishkatal, EKOC. It's the EKOC that go with that hard biscuit.
Well, they're gone now, so we don't have to worry about that no more. We don't have to worry about that. So
in the past. That's in the past.
In the past. Yeah. We out in the past. We don't live in the past.
My bread good now.
I didn't say did you have a bread problem? You was one of the ones.
I could have broke windows with my bread.
Wait a minute, you was one of the bread problem people?
I was one of the bread problems. I could have broke windows with my bread. But let me tell you something. That I couldn't keep my bread this year.
So, only thing you talked about a lot of things, but I didn't hear you say nothing about the turpentine, just a little bit of the turpentine, and the medicine.
He did. He said the turpentine in the spoon with the sugar.
Oh, I didn't hear him. I didn't hear the turpentine. I was like, wait a minute, he got the turpentine.
The preacher preaching real hard, and you want to hear what you want to hear. And
that's what it is.
It was in the message.
It was, but we're going to let you go. And I do apologize because I did not hear. I was like, why he ain't mentioning the turpentine? I hear everything but the turpentine.
Ain't that just how the church do?
Yes.
This is worth me pausing. I'll be late for my service just to deal with that little piece right there. Just to deal with that little piece right there, sitting here and poured out his whole soul, gave every piece of information, but because and then we miss. Oh, he ain't say that. He didn't say it. You weren't listening.
I wasn't listening.
And now
I was over listening.
So officially, right now, there's 2 sermons that's gonna come out of this lesson. Lessons learned today. The next sermon entitlement is, watch this. You heard me. That's the next type. That's the next.
And I'm gonna put it down too.
You heard me.
You're gonna be back to talk about you heard me.
Yeah.
Turpentine.
Yeah.
He that hath an ear.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You pour the turpentine in the ear to get the
I need to get that wax out. I do. I was over listening. So thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for being here. As I always do, I give a holler out to my daughters. Thank you for being here. I love you. I love each and every one of you. We love you, but we can never love you the way Yahweh loves you. So we want you to really listen, go back, hear the replay of Apostle and what he said. It was very timely. And not only was it timely, it was a message that could change your life. So go back and listen to it. A tool in your hand. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you close us out. I mean, a tool in your mind versus a tool in your hand. We got to put them things together to make it work and for us to have a lifestyle that is pleasing to the kingdom, not to man. Yes, Apostle.
I'm looking at, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I see something says an end sample question mark.
Yes.
So the word is end sample, which is the it 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 is a version of example. So you have EXSAMPLE, and then you have ENSAMPLE. One word. X sample means something that's dead, and you see what it did, and you reflect it, you memorialize it, you commemorate it, right? You follow that dead, but it's an absolute. An end sample is someone demonstrating it in rightness who is yet alive. So Peter would be an example, right, of the gospel. And since Yeshua is still alive, he's an end sample of the gospel. So example is something that's dead. End sample is something that's alive. Hope that helped.
Yeah, that was Rick. Thank you so much for the question, Rick. Yeah, but we're going to let you go. We're going to get out of here. We'll be back tonight at 5 p.m. With Head to Toe with Minister Wanda, Tiffany, and Titi. And they'll be talking about the different part of your body from head to toe. So join us tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then after that, Minister Wanda has her own kickoff, her own show. Um, what's it called? Applying the pressure. And that is, what's the time? Our time? She got a full day today, y'all.
4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Yes. So we look forward to seeing each and every one of you. If you have not hit the like sign, subscribe, or share, please do so now. And follow Apostle D.W. Jones as well as Minister Wanda. And I promise you, your life will never be the same. So as we leave this place, we're going to let Apostle close us out. And we will see you this evening, hopefully.
Shalom again. We thank Yahweh for the opportunity to share with you what we know. There is no amount of money you could give that would cause us to speak to you about his kingdom any differently. There is no thing you could do for me, or I believe these other servants, Prophetess Leslie as well as Minister Wanda, that would make them change their narrative. The kingdom of Elohim is about developing sages, people who lived and are living this life according to the instructions, according to the governance. It is not designed to create salesmen of it. Most salesmen, once they sell you a product and the product go bad, they send you to another department for fixing. Though they told you when they sold it to you, they know everything about it. But when you call them and say, hey, it's not working the way you sold it, well, you got to call, that's a salesman. Does that make sense? The kingdom is about developing sages, not salesmen. Live this life first and foremost, and wait on your ministry. Wait on a question about how you live, and then give that freely. No strings attached. That's what Messiah did. That's what Peter did. That's what Paul did. That's what Moshe did. That's what David did. That's what Samuel did. Elijah did. Elisha did. Jeremiah, Isaiah. That is what those who are patriarchs and now sages of our faith all did. It was never for sale. And yet you'll never go hungry not selling it.
That's right.
Yahweh, thank you for the opportunity to share your written, your word with these, your people. I pray you now under 3Ls, Leslie's Lessons Learned, and Wanda's ministry of I Do a Little Hair and Pressure Applied or Unapplied. I pray you, Father, that their hearts to see that people are getting information on how to make proper bread, that, Father, they are learning how to not just make it, but how, Father, to store it. And Father, how to literally create it that many can be fed from it. I ask you now that this bread they're serving from this platform is edible, not just edible, but nutritious, sustaining. And whether it has flavor or not, it is the essence of nutrition. And I thank you for the opportunity to share and eat at this table with these great people that you've created. And to all who have listened, I pray they have an ear to hear what your spirit has said unto the church. Now may Yahweh bless you all and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you and grant you all 13 attributes of his shalom. This we pray in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
So
You heard.
yeah, you heard me. You're gonna be back to talk.